Hello and welcome to the Dragon Difference podcast with Superintendent Heidi Mercer for Lake Orion Community Schools. Our guest today, I'm Mark Snyder, the Director of Communications and Marketing for Lake Orion Community Schools. And our guest today is Stephanie Moyer, the Lake Orion High School Teacher of the Year. Stephanie, glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
As you came and joined us and everything, we wanted to kind of go a little bit far back and maybe start off with teaching. Obviously, you're recognized for being such an outstanding teacher. Where did that kind of passion begin? Were you little, having your own classroom with dolls and or siblings or something in your house, or what?
I can really go all the way back to third grade when I had a teacher in Clarkston, and she was just phenomenal, just so kind, so patient. Miss Barnard was her name, and I can really think all the way back to then that I really started to love teaching. But also, my mom was a huge influence for me. She was a paraeducator in Clarkston as well, from when I went into kindergarten all the way through, graduation and after. And watching her connection with the students and her care and compassion and getting to know them and, listening to sports that she normally doesn't listen to. Like hockey, and I got to know the score of the game last night and listen to the highlights. I'm like, Mom, why? And she's like, because I got to talk to my students about that. He really loves hockey. And then, picking up other things and just showing that she truly cared about the students and making them feel special continued to, grow my passion for teaching.
As you saw, her connect with those students, were you able to like understand the connection part of it as well? Like that she wanted to make that, but did you see the reciprocation from the student?
Yes, definitely. Her students loved her. And you definitely saw, I always saw her side, but I would go into her room often, go get chocolate from her. And so I would go into her room and I would see them just all adoring my mom and just all of them saying hi to her in the hallway. And, just that special bond that she was creating that I just thought was so amazing. And again, making students that sometimes feel unseen and unheard feel special. I just thought was so amazing.
Heidi, we always hear from teachers who have different origin stories, but it seems like the ones who learn it from either a parent or get it early, they seem to really follow through with it, huh?
I think so, and I've always been one that has said that if you have that passion, it just doesn't go away. I've known few people who have, had that passion but decided to not go into teaching and then go and get a degree and then go back. Because I do believe it's just something that never goes away, and it's that it's a calling. I really do think that, and so
Yeah.
it's amazing.
The idea of it growing and that resonating with you, and then you turning that into, as you went through your education, how did that, like, what did you do to start planning for that and internalizing how the steps you'd have to take to, want to follow those footsteps?
To be honest, I didn't really know at the time like, I knew what she was doing, but I didn't really put it all together into my education career and everything until I got into my classroom. And then it just seemed natural to do. Like, that's just what I saw always happening. So I didn't really think about, oh, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I need to do this to make a connection with the students. It kind of just became so natural for me. And it wasn't until years into my education and years into actually teaching that I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Students, people would come in, administrators would come in and be like, you have such a good connection with the students. I'm like, okay, cool. you know, and being a young teacher, I was just like, all right, I guess I'm young. Like, I don't know. But then I kept hearing it over and over and over again from different people. And then I started to step back and really realize, okay, I learned this all from my mom. So it was like little things along the way that I was maybe consciously doing, but I think it was a lot of just what I thought should be done and what was just who I am as a person, I guess.
There was a decision made, though, in either high school or college that this is the career path you wanted to follow, too? Like, you have to
Mm-hmm.
choose a major and stuff like that. Is this something that you weren't sure which part of teaching you wanted to do, or is it always kind of just generally, high school seemed like it fit you? And
Um, it really always seemed like I was going to go to the secondary route. Never really thought about the elementary school. Really liked history when I went through eighth grade history with Mr. Craven. And so I fell in love with just history in general and never really wavered from it. And so then just went all the way through high school and into college, just having that passion for history and teaching history. And so I was like, well, that's only in secondary, and I'm not good with young kids anyway, I figured. So I was just like, I'm just going to go ahead and go into secondary. And then I got my placement at Lake Orion High School with Lori Hogan, and loved every minute of it. I absolutely loved it. And so I was glad and excited to be able to stay in Lake Orion eventually, get a job here and eventually make my way back up to the high school too.
Yeah, Heidi, you were a middle school principal, so you kind of have an understanding about the secondary level. Do you see some traits in Stephanie that you looked for when you were hiring middle school and elementary and I'm sorry, and secondary level teachers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, passion, right? Not only do you, describe that, but you can hear it when you talk. You can see it, right? And especially the secondary level, having that content, that passion for content as well as for students, you have to have both, right? Mm-hmm. And so, that's something that I think is very important. It's also interesting to me. A lot of teachers think that they go in, either elementary or secondary. But through the years, I've seen where, really you kind of think, nah, maybe not elementary, but at the same time, I think, there are teachers who it just doesn't matter. Teaching kids is teaching kids. And so, but obviously you have to pick one over the other. But, and when I first got to know you, you were a middle school teacher.
Yes.
And
yes.
So middle and then going to high school. So
I also didn't want to teach math, so I didn't want to go into elementary.
Just avoid it altogether, right?
Even though it's elementary math, which I don't know. Sometimes my kids bring home math stuff, and I'm like, go ask your dad. Right. So I was kind of also like, I don't think I'm going to be an elementary teacher. Right. I don't want to have to teach math.
Were there things like when you first started teaching that you're like, oh, you think you know everything. I went through all these classes, and then you get into the classroom and you're like, oh, I did not see that coming. I mean, any funny stories or things like that at the beginning?
Well, I never really thought I was going to be a middle school English language arts teacher.
Sure.
And so my counselor in college was like, go, have your English degree as your second. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm definitely going to be a high school history teacher. I was set on that. And then, we had the restructuring, and I ended up down at the middle school because I was hired at the high school, moved down to the middle school and was teaching, English. And it was an eye-opening experience. I was like, oh, okay, this is new. Was never expecting, went through all the classes, but in my head I was like, I'm never going to teach it, so it's fine. Like, I'm fine, no big deal. So going down there and then looking at all the curriculum, I was like, okay, this is a lot I have to teach, and I'm going to have to relearn a lot of this stuff. So
stay one day ahead. Is that
yes.
That's the mantra, right?
Yes. And then I ended up staying at Scripps Middle School for 11 years and loved it. And so you never know where things are going to take you. You never know what journey you're going to take, and that just the whole experience of having to be a middle school English language arts teacher was just like a huge change for me.
What are the the challenges of middle school students that maybe you don't deal with now as a high school teacher?
Oh, that's a good. I think they're just like kind of different. I don't know. I have to think. Like, because the kids are all still learning about themselves. So
right,
maybe
sure.
just in middle school, they're a little bit more squirrely and a little bit more trying to find themselves. Where in high school, they're a little bit more focused and a little bit more sure of who they are, but not by much. Because I also a majority of the time I'm teaching ninth graders, so they're fresh out of middle school.
Right.
It's not
Same
really
thing.
until the end of the year that you start to see them changing and growing into more of a high schooler. So I wouldn't say there's really anything that really sticks out to me that's a big change.
Seems like just from when I'm popping into classes that middle schoolers don't have the same filter. They just kind of say whatever comes, front brain. It just kind of pops out. Whereas high schoolers like more, I don't know if I should let that one go.
Yeah, I could maybe see that. They definitely just want a reaction sometimes. In the high schoolers, they do think like, oh, is that cool to say?
Right,
Am I supposed to say that?
Sure. Once you got to the high school, obviously you were recognized this year for your high school impact, and you've done things beyond just the teaching the ninth graders and stuff. Like, When did you exploring popular culture is one of them, that class that you have? Can you
Mhm.
share a little bit about that and kind of more? It's obviously not with just the general ed students.
Yeah, the Explore Pop Culture was a couple of years ago, I think maybe 4 years ago, right when I was kind of starting at the high school again. And they were looking for teachers to create courses that students with special needs could come in and take. And I immediately jumped on. I was like, I would love to do this. So I started with mythology and pop culture. And pop culture has stayed with me the last couple of years. And it's just an amazing class. We have, anywhere between 5 all the way up to 10 students with special needs and the variety of special needs. They have paraeducators that come in with them. They have also ESET students, so general ed students that have signed up to support them. And so we kind of can get sometimes a full house in that room. And we just have a great time. I developed a curriculum that we explore all the different decades, and we look at music and we play music bingo. That's a fan favorite. Music bingo is definitely the fan favorite. But then we also look at, fashion, and we sometimes design our own fashion. We play board games. We watch a movie. We also will, watch a TV show from that time period. So it's a really, really fun class that the kids that are, whether they're verbal or nonverbal, can come in and just experience the history and experience the fun of our culture throughout the decades. So it's definitely close, near and dear to my heart.
And the gen ed students get something out of it as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they love coming in, and we do painting as well. That's
Oh,
the other
okay.
second. That's the second fan favorite. Definitely. The first one is the music bingo, and the second one is the painting. They love that, and we hold art galleries and stuff like that to be able to invite students from around the high school in. And they really love being able to share their artwork and show it to their peers. Their entire building is invited in, and we get a lot of classes that will come in, and sometimes it can be overwhelming for them,
Sure.
but for the most part, they just love being able to show off their pieces of art.
It's interesting as you kind of in a high school culture, and this is something that Heidi has enhanced here. That the high school culture, there's so many students at that high school. There's over 2,000 students, and there's different niches. Is that something that's something you've kind of tried to focus in? Stephanie's finding a way to kind of make it smaller for some of those kids.
Yeah, I think it's important that everybody feels that they belong, that they have value, right? And we're honoring everybody, no matter who they are. And so I know that you have done many things throughout the high school, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that. But you have brought, I think, that experience for many students to experience others' culture and learn, about each other and value and honor people's similarities and differences.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to do those things, and I definitely have gotten that from the administration that I have had. Whether it be from higher up in the superintendent, from you, Heidi, always supporting some of my ideas when I'm coming to you, or or whether it's Dan. Dr. Dan Haas has been a huge influence on my career. He has been the principal for me since I started. I think I've only had, like, in my entire career, I've had a year and a half without him as my principal, and I feel so fortunate for that. And he's always allowed me to be able to take on these different projects or try something new, and so it really comes, I think, from the administration allowing us to do those things. And I've had the opportunity to do the cultural outreach program, and that's been amazing. I took that on a couple years ago with Morgan Tinian, and she's been just fantastic to work with. We actually didn't know each other before we joined together to be the advisors for the program, and it's just worked out great because whatever I forget, she remembers, and whatever she forgets, I remember. And for never having met each other before, it's like we're friends for a long time, and we know what each other is thinking. And so we mesh really well together. And I think because of that, we can build that program more and more and more, and help students feel like they all belong at the high school and that they're all seen in some way.
That's something that you guys have enhanced and trying to find different ways to connect with them. You've had these cultural outreach nights and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. You see the students kind of leaning into the whole school culture when they find their connection.
That's become a large community event.
Yes.
You've done it for 2 years.
I think this was our
There.
2 years we did it after school, and then this last year we wanted to try something different where we had it during the day with the students, because a lot of the students couldn't come to the after school event. And so we're like, well, what if we try during the day, and then we can invite all the students to come?
Right.
Well, Mother Nature decided to, throw a snow day in there.
Of course.
She loves to do that. And so threw a snow day in there. So we had to, scramble and rechange everything. So I don't think we got, as many as we normally would have had. But we still had a huge turnout. It was fantastic. A lot of people were coming down. And then we're looking at next year having one during the school day, but then also having one after school. So
Okay.
kind of expanding and having both instead of just having one or the other, have one in the fall and then one in the springtime too, so that we can have not just for the students, but also for the community, because it was a very well attended
a lot
event.
of families attended.
And with so many international students, we have such a great international exchange program that Michelle Novak runs, and they get to show their culture to to their classmates community, as opposed to just being the kids who are, just coming for the year or whatever.
Yes, and that's why we wanted to, it used to be in the springtime, and we moved it to the fall time because we wanted to be able to start the year off with students being able to celebrate their culture and others learning about their culture. So it's not just about the celebrating, it's about the learning and understanding and embracing the differences. And of course, food is a huge...
Food, I was going to say.
yeah.
Food is the biggest thing.
That's the reason to come. Right. One of the reasons.
Well, it is. I don't know.
Right.
It might be the reason. That's really good food. But, I think that it's so important that the other classmates get to learn about them. And like you said, not just see them as, oh, you're an international student, but see them for their culture and learn about their culture. And like, oh, yeah, I remember trying your food, and, a way to connect with them. So that's why we moved it to the fall time. And I really like it in the fall time.
Your involvement with the school in all these different ways, I mean, it takes a lot of your time, and I'm sure your family has to give, as you said, when you got the award, your family has given a lot of their time of you to the school and everything like that. Is that something, though, that you feel, as a teacher, you need to be invested in the school? You're not just walking in and walking out.
I definitely think so. And I'm also a member of the community, and my children also go to Lake Orion. So when I'm all in, I'm all in. I am all the different parts of this community, and I'm definitely a dragon. So I think it's important for me to just show up for everybody, not just for my kids, but also as much as I can for my students. And they know, my students know that my kids and my family definitely come first,
Right.
but they also know that I'm there for them. And they know that I want to support them and everything. So my daughter definitely is catching on too, because she's like, I want to be a teacher now too, Mom. I'm like, oh
There
man.
you go. There you go.
My boys are like, they don't want anything to do with school.
Right.
They're like, when are we done? How many more years until we're done? I'm like, oh, you got a lot.
Keep going.
You're in middle school. Let's
Right.
pump the brakes here.
Right. The traits that she shows, Heidi, are the things that you look for, especially in high school teachers, where everything is so niche that Stephanie has kind of crossed over into many different areas. Those are the things that we're trying to share as a district. That we have people like Stephanie who are great representatives of our district.
I think, first and foremost, passion. You have to love what you do. You have to be committed and dedicated. And I think, one of the other things, as you have described, is being able to connect with students in multiple ways and listening to students and hearing about their different ideas and then making that come to fruition. And you have done that over and over again. And not only in the district and at the high school, certainly, but also in your community. And so we're just blessed to have you, honestly. You're a great representation of our district and truly a dragon difference.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Stephanie. And we will, see you in the school for years to come.
Thank you.